Hey everyone, I'm Jason Carpenter. What you're about to hear is a bonus episode. This is a segment that I recorded for an episode that went on too long. And originally, I was just like, it's not. I mean, here's the thing, all of the stuff really works. That's why I think it's entertaining. That's why I'm releasing it as a bonus episode. I didn't want it to just disappear into the ether. And even though it is titled Jason Carpenter Human Hunter, The Revenge, if you didn't listen to the first part, that's fine. I think I referenced it once or twice, but I'll put it in the show notes. If you're currently a district attorney building a case, you can listen to both episodes and then pick the facts out of there that you want. But this is more of my old-time hunting tactics. So, the first segment was disturbing enough. How could it get worse? Well, I don't know if it's worse. It's just last over a longer period of time with more victims, this segment here. So hope you guys enjoy Jason Carpenter, Human Hunter, Part 2, The Revenge. Well, guys, I have actually some bad news. I have run out of time to do 2 more episodes this week because I got to get everything ready to go, take a month off. Poor planning on my part. I take full responsibility for it. I'm not going to blame the kittens, because I love them. That did take up a big chunk of my time, though. But, I mean, I'm usually bad at pre-planning stuff. I'm not going to place it in the arms, the adorable arms of Leroy, Annie, and Venus. They're great kittens. I actually feel bad, because I'm going to be gone for a month. They've spent every single day for the past month, almost, me being there. I just go over there every day to take care of them until Sabine gets off work. I hope they don't forget about me. A month is a long time for a kitten. But, I have the classics coming out. We're going to have a bonus episode coming out in the meantime. But yeah, I have probably about 15 more hours of work to do. And I have 2 days to do it in. So, and that's without recording 2 additional episodes. Then it'd be close to 20 hours in 2 days. So I apologize for that. I really, need to get better at that. And I figured that it would make my life easier if I'm not going to end the episode here, but sometimes the easiest stories are to tell. You're like, Jason, are you going to tell a personal story? Are you going to tell something about your past that reveals something we wish we didn't know? Flying in path, let me go ahead and toss you the keys to the world-famous Carpenter copter. We're saying goodbye to that horrific story we just covered. Why don't you fly us all the way out to Sacramento? Okay, the sound quality is going to be a little bit different. I moved outside to my living room because it's late, and this segment might get a little loud. I probably should shut my window so my neighbors don't hear it. But what I want to do, so there's a bonus episode that's going to be coming out during the break called Jason Carpenter, Hunter of Humans, or Human Hunter, whichever title I think is funnier. And I told that story, and then I realized I didn't really talk about hunting anybody. I did talk about sending out the word that I was looking for somebody, but I didn't actually do any stories about hunting. People were like, Jason, I was hoping that was just a exaggeration. Do you actually hunt people? Well, what happened was, so back when I was a young man, right? We're talking late teens, early 20s. Statute of limitations. And if you don't know what that means, it's not the same as statutory age or whatever. It's totally different. Statute of limitations is basically the farthest back you can be prosecuted for a crime. For most crimes, it's 3 to 7 years. The exceptions to that is murder. And if they have your DNA in a rape case, but they don't have you, then that will also last as long as the rest of your life. That's fair, right? But for like armed robbery, drug dealing, assault, mayhem, which is maiming somebody, grand theft, it's usually 3 to 7 years. After that point in time, you can't be prosecuted for any crimes. But we're not going to talk about any of that stuff. I haven't done any of that stuff. We're not going to talk about it even if I did. We're going to look at some hijinks. Probably really should shut that bedroom window. Some hijinks. And what happened was this I will hunt somebody. For those of you who are waiting for that segment during my hijinks phase, what happened was, in my late teens and my early 20s, I gathered a bit of a reputation that you could come to me and say, hey, listen, someone's messing with me, and I can't do anything about it. Can you help? And I was always down, right? I was always down. It's really easy to, if you're able to take something you want to do, some sort of violent act or whatever, and cloud it in this idea of doing the right thing, righteous violence, vigilantism, you don't have any problem doing it. You can do all sorts of crazy things. So that allowed me, people would come to me, friends of mine, or acquaintances, someone on the street going, help me, help me. And then that would allow me to do pretty much whatever I wanted to them, the perpetrator, not the victim, and be totally fine with it. So, for example, there was this guy, I don't remember his real name. We're going to go ahead and call him Brooke. That's a guy name, right? There's a lot of girls named Brooke. But anyways, I had a friend of mine. This girl came to me and she said, hey, this dude's messing with me. Now, again, it wasn't anything super criminal. But she was like, I think he's just like being a mean guy. It didn't take much for me to start one of these campaigns. And I did it all the time. Someone would come to me and say, hey, this guy's messing with me. So I have a little speech that when someone came, I'd listen to what they had to say, and I would give them a speech at the end of it. I just kind of sit there as they're like, you gotta help me, you gotta help me. And I'm not trying to make myself sound like the Godfather or anything like that. If anything, I was probably eating Godfather pizza at the time and just sitting back drinking a Coke, watching MTV when someone comes over and is like, hey, I need your help with something. I'd let them tell me what it was up, and then I would tell, and this isn't the speech verbatim. It's been a long time since I've delivered this, but this is kind of the Cliff Notes version of it. I'd say, okay, this is the way things are going to, and I'm going to skip some stuff out too, right, for legal reasons. but this is pretty much the gist of it. I would say, okay, so, because here's the thing. I was in a tricky situation. I couldn't really go over and just beat the guy up. Sometimes you'd have to do that, but that was a totally different situation. These are just hijinks. Someone would come to me and they wouldn't say, my family's in danger, my brother-in-law owes this guy $50,000 because he had bad bets, and it wasn't ever anything like that, right? Someone would come to me and say, hey, this guy, he's picking on my little brother. Hey, this guy, he's hassling me at work, whatever it was, right? Low-level stuff for the hijinks. I would say, okay, this is basically what's going to happen. Over the next couple months, a series of unfortunate events, and this was before the book, I should have copyrighted that. A series of unfortunate events is going to happen to this guy. And I'm going to be the cause of some of it, but not all of it. Sometimes life just happens. And you're going to sit and you're going to watch his life just fall apart. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but you're going to see him go through a series of hardships. He can never know it's me, because if he knows it's me, then he'll know you're involved, because you know me. And that guy knows my reputation, probably. A series of events are going to happen to this guy. Some of them I will be the cause of, and some of them will just be random life events. And you'll never know which ones I'm doing. And I'll never tell you. Because there's a pretty good chance this guy's going to have a real rough go of it for a while. And sometimes people get squeamish. This is kind of a speech I developed over time because I would watch things go sideways. I would tell somebody about something I did, and then they'd start to feel bad for the guy. And I go, no, you asked for this. You came to me. They go, I didn't know you were going to do that. I didn't know you were going to do something that insane. I'm going to dress him as a clown. Oh, he hates clowns? Well, I'll be a clown for the next 3 months. I'm going to live under his bed. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. If you ask me, I won't tell you. You'll wonder. And here's another thing I realized over time. After a year or two, you are probably going to be friends with this guy again. Unless it's something like picking on your little brother or something like that. A lot of times, this would happen a lot with girls. Girl would say, this guy, he totally burned me, blah, blah, blah. Can you take care of it? Yes, I can take care of it. And then a year or two later, they'd start dating again. And then they'd feel bad. And then they would tell him what I had done. And now it's a physical thing. Now we have to actually physically fight. I said, I'm not going to tell you what I do because of that. I've watched that happen multiple times. So, series of unfortunate events is going to happen to this guy. I'm going to be the cause of some of them, but not all of them. And I'm never going to tell you what I'm doing. And I won't tell you even if you ask. And you can't stop it either. I stop it. So it's completely out of your control. You can sleep well at night. You don't have to worry about anything now. Except the future criminal trial where you are an accessory before the fact. So case in point, there was this guy, we'll call him Brooke. He did something to this girl. I don't remember what it was. So I had to find out where he lived. Now, luckily, the girl knew where he lived. Check mark right off I had a little checklist to burn in case police pursuits. But I had a little checklist. Find out where he lives. Check mark. This guy really loved his car. That was some of the info I got about him. I never met the guy before. I don't think I had. Okay, really loves his car. That gives me something to work with. The wheels are turning, and they're not metaphorical. The wheels in his car are trying to drive away from me, but I am there instead. He really loved his car. I knew where he lived. There was a bunch of guys living at that house. You know, because we were all like early 20s, right? Late teens, early 20s, so we were all moving out and things like that. Moving in with our buddies. And I go, okay, here's the deal. We're going to hit the car. And we're not going to steal it. I'm not going to get a Grand Theft Auto rap. See, that was the other thing. If I did anything too crazy, and the girl ends up dating the guy again after 2 years, and he's like, that's what happened to my car. He sends photos of it in a junkyard getting crushed into a cube. Jason! I said, we're going to take the car. Not literally. We're going to take the car down. I said, this is what we're going to do. Most people have $1,000 deductible on their car insurance. We're going to consistently do $900 worth of damage to that vehicle over time. And my friends go, well, I mean, like, that is actually super effective. It would work. You always hit under the deductible, and then you have to keep paying out for it. So that meant things like you don't set stuff on fire. You should never use fire because then you get an arson investigator after you, and they're dedicated. They're as good as homicide detectives, and they don't have as much of a caseload as major crimes or homicide detectives. No fire, no explosives, nothing like that. Nothing that's going to get too much attention. But you can do pretty rapid damage to a car. You can easily do $900 of damage to a car. And so I planned this out with my buddies, and I'm not going to go into super detail about it because other people were involved, but I planned this out with my buddies. And one of the things they hated this. People that I would get roped into this. Like, I don't want to do this, but I'm afraid if I say no, Jason's going to attack me. And I love my car too. I'd say in and out, 30 seconds. Whatever we do from the second we pull up to the second we leave, 30 seconds, we're gone. And people would go, oh, that's too short of a time. If we had a minute, and I go, we don't have a minute. The problem is that the second you start making ruckus, it takes about, I'd say a minute, you're really cutting it. And I go, you guys also don't know how long 30 seconds is. I've done stuff like this multiple times. 30 seconds is a lot. And I would get in arguments about this. I was like, oh, really? You disagree with me? Where's your car? Did you park your car in the parking lot? Oh, I just need to go for a walk, get some fresh air. Multiple conversations, they'd always say because there would be certain jobs we'd do, and I'd go 10 seconds. And these are like hijinks, right? But the stakes are still high. If anyone finds out who's behind, I'm not worried about getting in a fist fight. What I was worried about was my friends being pulled into it all. Because they, quote-unquote, hired me, right? And this was all like 30 years ago. It's crazy to think about this. All the participants in these stories are 50 years old or older, and they may be listening to this podcast, and they're like, that's what happened to my car. 30 seconds. We're going to pull up to this dude's car. I'm the driver, because I was the best driver. No one was as good as a driver as I was, and no one disputed that fact, because they had seen me drive. There are stories that aren't hijinks. There are stories where the stakes were life-changingly high, and I get everyone out of there. Like, police pursuit. Police pursuits where I'm gone. I'm out. We're done. I know people listen to this, they're like, I don't believe any of this. Someone tells us another story about a ghost or a djinn in your place, a djinn in your home. I think that's more believable. And that's fine, right? People don't have to believe everything I say. But this stuff is true. I was the best driver. I had my boy, who I'm not going to use his real name, obviously. We'll call him Milton. I said, this guy, here's a baseball bat. And then I had a dude in the back seat. So we had Milton in the passenger seat. And then a dude sitting behind him in the back seat of my car, we'll call him Billy. Okay, so Milton and Billy. And I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to drive up to this dude's car about 4 a.m. when everyone's asleep and the cops are changing their shifts and the streets are completely empty. Milton, you're going to use that baseball bat to smash in his driver's side window. And Billy in the back, you have a hammer. He's like, oh, I'm supposed to bring my own equipment? I didn't know that. I was like, oh, man. No, so what happened with how we got the equipment, because again, this wasn't my first time. What I do is I will go to Goodwill's and buy baseball bats. They're cheap, right? A new baseball bat's pretty expensive. I'll go to Goodwill and buy a $5 baseball bat for a couple of different reasons. One, they're $5, super cheap. Two, they're covered in fingerprints. Whenever I tell people these stories, they're like, oh, you really thought about this. This totally makes sense. They're covered in fingerprints. Even though we'd wear gloves when we were doing stuff, there's a chance that at some point, especially when you're buying it at Goodwill, you can't really put on your gloves and you're like, assistant, I would like this bat handed to me, please. I can't touch it with my bare hands. You're going to leave a fingerprint somewhere. That's just the way the world works. We'd wear gloves. They're covered in fingerprints, and a lot of times when I would do this, I would just leave the bat there. Right? If I'm up to something, I would use the bat and then just drop it on the ground. So now I'm not caught with anything. And a lot of times, another thing I would do is do these type of things on trash day. I would find out the area the person lived in, and then I would find out when the trash left their area, when the garbage pickup was, and I would just dump everything that I used in a garbage can down the street. And I will say this, if anyone thinks about doing any of this stuff, I want to be really clear. This was all before Ring doorbell cameras. This was all before Ring doorbell cameras or people having cell phone cameras. None of that existed. Homeboy Milton used the bat, and you're going to use it like a battering ram. Because he couldn't get a good swing, right? He's in the... You don't get out of the car. He goes, I can get out of the car. I can get a good swing. I go, 30 seconds. You're not opening that door. We're pulling up. We're smashing glass, and we're gone. Homeboy in the back, Billy, I didn't buy a hammer at the Goodwill. I should have, but I bought it at the dollar store. So this hammer that was made for less than $1, you want me to use this? I go, yes. And I go, I'll drive. We're going to pull up. I don't even think it was 30 seconds. I think it was even, I think I said 10 seconds in and out because we knew that the threat level was pretty high with these guys. If we got caught, it would all fall back on that girl. It's so funny. So we roll up at this dude's house super early in the morning. And I stop the car and we're like parallel to his car like pirate ships. And I go, okay, guys, do it. I'm just kicking back. I'm all turn the radio up super loud. I'm all singing. You guys have to do all the physical labor, but I am the driver. I go. So then Milton starts using the baseball bat. I envision this, you take a baseball bat and you hit it like a battering ram towards a driver's side window. It should shatter. And Milton was a strong guy. So Milton starts hitting. We made so much noise. Milton begins hitting the driver's side window. He's sitting in my car. And he's like trying. See, we didn't practice this. As much as I thought of it in my head, we never practiced this. We didn't do like a routine. Let's choreograph this. Milton starts trying to knock out the guy's driver's side window with the baseball bat as like a battering ram. And I just hear a thump, thump, thump. And I'm like, uh-oh. And my boy Billy in the back, he has this dollar store hammer. But my window in the back seat had the child-proof window, so it only looked halfway. So he cannot get an angle at all. His arm is like... It's like watching the Three Stooges try to commit. grand damage to a car. I see homeboy in the back. His arm is like kind of fitting through the wedge, and he cannot get any momentum to break out that back window. And he's trying, man. I just hear a thump, duh, thump, duh, thump, duh, between the baseball bat and the hammer, wildly flailing outside the back window. And listen, man, 10 seconds is 10 seconds. Like, we gotta go. And homeboy in the back, Billy, is like, I can't get it. He's all yelling it super loud. He's like, Jason Carpenter, how do I get this? How do I get a better angle? And I'm sitting there and I'm watching this and I go, this is not going well. Anything, this is super embarrassing. And I called it. I go, 10 seconds, guys, we're out of here. And then as we started driving away, Milton, who was a baseball player, he played baseball in high school, as I'm driving away, Milton, because we were all really frustrated that this wasn't working, Milton straight up, he does one of those things where he gets out of the car, he's like sitting on the windowsill of the driver's side, or the passenger side door. So more than half of his body is actually out of the car. And as we're driving away, because I'm driving pretty slowly, right? And I see him pull this maneuver, he gets half of his body out of the car and he winds back and hits the front windshield so hard with that baseball bat, you just hear a and we're driving away. I mean, see, from the first bang, the first time that first window got hit, I knew they were waking up in that house. And Milton just rocked that front windshield like it was nothing. And I look at him and I'm looking over my shoulder as we're driving away and I just see this huge, it's like a baseball-sized hole, which makes sense because it's a baseball bat. It's designed to hit that size. Hole in this guy's front windshield. And I go, oh my God, finally, dude. I go, what was up with that? And that's when Milton goes, I couldn't get an angle. Also, you told me that this would work. I go, I thought it would. Funniest part, Billy in the back. He's now at this point yelling. And I go, what is your problem? He's all, where did you buy this hammer? Not only did the hammer fail to break the window, he was hitting the car so hard and it was such a cheap hammer it splintered. The wood broke on the hammer and cut his hand. I mean, it wasn't deep, you know, he was bleeding. He was bleeding and in pain, but it wasn't anything super serious. And I remember driving away and I was like, okay, well, we did it that. I didn't mean to do the front windshield, but, you know, any port in a storm, we were successful in our mission. And the way that I thought about this was I go, okay, what's going to happen is this guy's going to have to take a couple days off work because he won't be able to drive, especially without a front windshield. But originally we were just doing car damage. And I go, well, you know, he's not going to be able to drive for a while, especially without a front windshield. And I knew where he worked and I knew that he had like issues at work. And I was like, you know, that'll kind of be a cascading effect and stuff like that. Maybe he'll get written up. His boss was like, that's it, Brooke. I've told you once. I've told you 1,000 times. No baseball-sized holes in your windshield. He's like, but boss. Well, anyways, I remember it was like the next day. I was sitting at home trying to fix that hammer. I'm all duct taping it together. I was like, I'll get my money out of you somehow. I'm sitting at home. I get a phone call and someone goes, yo, guess what? And I was like, what's up? And they go, I saw Brooke driving around today. And I go, well, yeah, with a giant hole in his window. He's probably driving to the auto shop. My boy goes, Because this was actually, it was Billy in the back who called me up. He goes, nope, he has a brand new windshield. And I started thinking, did we hit the wrong car? Like, how can you get that done? I go, how in the world does he have a new windshield? Billy goes, I don't know. But he has a new windshield. It was nothing for him. Oh, I was furious, right? Because I'd planned this out. Well, then I found out from someone else, they're like, yeah, his uncle owns an auto shop. His uncle owns an auto shop and a glass repair shop. I was like, I was so mad. Because I'll say this, you go, Jason, you're not telling us what he did to the girl to have all this happen. It wasn't anything like rape or sexual assault or anything that truly would have required more intervention, physical intervention. But it was more than just smashing her car window, right? It was a prolonged period of time where he was kind of tormenting her. So, a smashed windshield, but I wasn't done. I was so mad that I was like, that's it, I'm taking his car apart. I want to completely disassemble it. I want every lug nut. I want his engine sitting in my house as a trophy. And it did become like this campaign. There was one point, too, where we had a really close call. Me and my boy, Milton was with me again. We were hiding in the back seat of this car with baseball bats. We were rolling into this dude's neighborhood. And I had a girl driving the car. And this was my mistake, right? Because I was ready to use the bat. Because I was down a man. So I got... Billy was in the hospital. He's like, I have all these stitches. And I can't tell the doctor what I did. How I earned these. So I had to be the Batman. I had to be a Batman. Well, anyways, and I made a lot of judgment calls wrong this time. It was like 9 o'clock at night. So the streets were super busy. I think something had happened. I think something had escalated on the girl's side that I needed to step up what I was doing. So I got this other girl. I go, hey, can you drive us? Can we take your car and you drive us through this neighborhood with me and my buddy in your backseat with baseball bats? Nothing could go wrong. And this was at maybe a month or two after the car attack, and it had been a sustained assault against this dude, and he was trying to figure out what was going on. Because things kept happening to him, like I had told the original girl. A series of things are going to happen to this guy. So I got this other girl. I said, can you drive your car? Because he won't know your car. Me and my boy are going to be in the back seat with baseball bats, and then, we're going to do some great... Also, do you know how to swing a hammer? Here's a hammer. It's covered in duct tape, but it's just to hide the fingerprints. So she drives. We come through his neighborhood, and I remember this, dude. I was sweating. There's not many stories I'll say where I was sweating bullets. Not because I'm a tough guy. I think it's mostly because I'm usually dehydrated, but we were coming through this dude's neighborhood, and we didn't see his car in the driveway. We drove by the driveway, his car wasn't there, and so we weren't just doing car stuff either. We're like, we're gonna hire all these birds to poop on his car, and then the next day, we're gonna, get a squirrel to have babies in the muffler. It wasn't all car stuff. But obviously his car wasn't there, so he wasn't home. And so we drive by, and I go, I guess he's not home. I'm in the back seat, right? I'm crouched down. I can't see nothing. We drive through the neighborhood, and she goes, there's no car there, no car like you described. And I go, well, then I guess his car's not there. And then we drive a bit, again, I don't know, 50 feet or something like that. And she goes, a car just pulled in behind me. And I didn't know it was him at the time. I go, oh, yeah, it's a suburban street. People are driving around. But he began following her. I go, like, make a turn here. And, there's ways you can tell if someone's following you. I go, is the car still behind us? She said, yeah. And I go, okay, so we're being followed. It's probably that dude. And it indeed was, she could see it was his car. Because he had some very distinct things about his car that you might not catch at first glance at 9 o'clock at night, but the more he drove behind it. So I look at Milton and I go, this might escalate real quick. He can't follow us home. He can't follow us even back to our neighborhood. He can't know who we're working with. And I go, just keep driving. And I remember being crouched down. It was definitely a lot skinnier back then. You're like, crouched down? What was she driving? A semi-truck? But anyways, I was crouched down and I'm gripping that baseball bat, and my boy Milton's also crouched down gripping his bat. We're driving down the road at this point, and I remember saying, I remember us coming up to an intersection, and the light's green, and it turns yellow, and I say, don't stop. Because I would much rather her get a traffic ticket for running a red light. But what does she do? She panics because she knows the rules of the road. She stops at the red light. And there's traffic everywhere. There's like a row of cars on the right of us, a row of cars on the left of us. She can't pull off. She can't go anywhere. And this dude, Brooke, is behind us in his car. And I look at Milton and I go, if he gets out of his car, this is not going to end well. Eventually, the light turned green. Traffic flow continued. And about a block after that, Brooke pulled off on a side street and headed back into his neighborhood. what I had found out later, this is probably like a year or two later, because I didn't run in this guy's social circle, but, these are small, compressed neighborhoods, and you did have, this was your neighborhood, this was other dude's neighborhood, but there was a lot of cross-contamination, people hanging out with each other. Someone told me that someone who knew me and knew what I was doing, didn't know specifically what was up, but also knew that guy. He had heard through the grapevine this is what happened. He said Brooke was trying to figure out who was constantly harassing him. So he sat in his car and waited, and we never were out this early. That was the craziest thing. Apparently, what I found out later, after the fact, was that Brooke was trying to figure out who was harassing him, because it was getting super out of hand, as far as he was concerned. So he posted up in his car, and it probably wasn't the first night he did it. He probably sat in his car, because I've had to do that. I've had to sit in neighborhoods in my car for like a week on end, waiting to get a good trail on somebody. I remember I listened to that Sublime album. I remember me and two of my buddies, that Sublime album, we listened to just that album for maybe like 6 hours straight as we were doing a stakeout on this dude's house. But anyways, this guy goes, what happened was that Brooke saw that car come through, and he thought it could be, because he didn't recognize the car. So that actually made him suspicious that it was coming around his neighborhood. It was just a really weird set of circumstances as to why he followed us. But he goes, so he was following that car. He was sure that whatever that car was, I think we might have drove through his neighborhood 2 or 3 times looking for him, or the girl may have had a hard time finding the address, whatever it was, but it was more suspicious than we should have been. He goes, he figured that car had something to do with what was going on, but what happened was when he got to the stoplight, he saw 2 hunched over figures in the back seat of the car. And he didn't want that static. He could see it was a girl driving. Maybe she knew what was going on. But when she saw 2 guys who were purposely concealing themselves, I thought we were a little more discreet. Apparently we were popping up once or twice. He goes, he saw these dudes hiding in the back of the car, so he left. He didn't, because it was just one against two shapeless figures in the back of some girl's car. It's funny how it all ended, too, because I remember, it was kind of back and forth for a while. He didn't know who was doing stuff, but the girl would catch side smoke every once in a while. But you could never prove anyone was doing anything. And it's actually, now that I think about it, it's possible that he did kind of start to assume that it was me, but what are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about it? Like, I was usually, unless I was out doing some sort of hijinks, you're like, Jason, this isn't hijinks. You keep using the word hijinks. This is a series of multiple crimes. No felonies, though. No felonies. This would go back and forth, and I remember it was never escalating to the point where I thought it was going to get dangerous outside of when we were getting followed in the car. But what happened was, I remember once I was sitting there, and one of my buddies comes up and goes, dude, so Brooke, did you hear what happened? And I go, no. I was checking my day planner. I was like, did I do something recently? Did I do something? Did he finally find that acid vat I hid in his bathtub? He goes, dude, guess what happened with Brooke? And I go, what happened? And he goes, Brooke knocked up a 16-year-old girl and gave her chlamydia. And I remember getting that news, and I sat there, and my buddy told me that, and I go, my work is done. I'm done. There's nothing I can do to top that. There is nothing I can do to top that. This all happened in the late 90s. Knocking up a 16-year-old girl, while illegal, wasn't the life-ruining. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying that I didn't think, he's going to go to prison for the next 10 years and all this bad stuff's going to happen to him. He's going to be on the sex offender registry. I wasn't, and I don't think any of that happened. Because he was, we were all in our early 20s. Again, it's illegal, but I think he was like 20, 21. She was 16. He knocked her up and gave her chlamydia. And to be fair, either he gave her chlamydia or she gave him chlamydia. But either way, chlamydia was spread. And I remember thinking, I wasn't thinking, he's going to go on the sex offender registry, he's going to go to prison. I remember thinking, this dude has totally messed his life up in the fact that he is a player. He loves the ladies, and now he has to be a dad. There's nothing I can do. There's no amount of windows I can shatter That can top that plus the chlamydia, right? Plus the chlamydia. I don't know. I mean, I remember once I knew a girl with HPV. She told me she had HPV, and I go, I didn't really know anything about it. And she's like, yeah, it's this thing. A lot of women have it. Some of it can cause cancer, blah, 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 blah. But the whole time she's talking to me about her HPV diagnosis, I'm thinking, can I weaponize this? Like, is there any way I could get a culture of HPV and then take it back to my laboratory? I'm like, it's all full of broken windshields, prototypes. I'm like, hammers? No. Baseball bats? Kind of. I go, can I weaponize HPV? Is there some way I could take... Jason, that is not a hijinks. That actually is a felony. It's a terror. It's an act of terror. Is there a way I could culture HPV and then, throw it at people? That was always my big thing. Could I take something? Someone would tell me about something. Did you hear about this COVID? I was like, oh, COVID-19? Does it fit in a bottle? Could I somehow get this girl's... I could easily have gotten the girl's HPV. To be clear, I didn't. I don't have HPV, but if I asked her, hey, can I scoop some of that out? Oh, she might have said if I didn't say it so unromantically. But, I was like, can I get some of that HPV? I didn't tell her that. I did ask her. I go, is it possible to weaponize this? Because she was a really smart girl. She knew all about, stuff. She obviously knew about HPV. I had never heard of it before. But I thought, I wonder if I could somehow, I don't know, put it on, a popsicle stick. I don't know what step 2 of that is. But, I build a popsicle house and give it to the guy, and he's like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna rub this all over my crotch. How did you know I had a fetish for popsicle stick houses? Is there some way I could put it on a rag? Jason, this is disgusting. The first part was felonious enough. But anyway, so, yeah, chlamydia, gonorrhea. Imagine if you're driving down the street. You pissed off a friend of mine, you didn't even know it, and you're driving down the street with your window blasting some tunes, listening to some Sublime, and then all of a sudden, a huge handful of gonorrhea flying out of another car, right into your open mouth, right as you're saying Santeria. It's like a scoop of pistachio ice cream right in your mouth, but it doesn't taste like that. Anyways, yeah, if you could somehow weaponize an STD, you'd be a king. A god, dare I say. But yeah, so that was, I let him go. I stopped harassing him after that. Not because I go, oh, he's a father, I'm not going to mess with the guy who's a father. I remember saying, my work's done. He's messed his life up so bad that and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a dad. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a young father as well. But it was just the whole situation. And I don't think anyone pressed charges because I stopped keeping tabs on the guy. My work was done. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting story. I thought that was another highlight of hunting people. I haven't done it many times, but I've done it at least twice. Those 2 times, you're like, yes, Jason, and you keep referencing, from experience, I know exactly how to deal with this. So obviously, you've done it a lot, but again, hijinks long past the statute of limitations. So I thought that would be a fun story to share with you. Now, my original plan was this segment was going to be at the end. I realized this while I was recording it. This segment was going to be the end of the season finale, episode 1601. But I think I'm going to save it for the bonus episode. I'm going to record something else a little more on brand for Dead Rabbit Radio. This is a true crime story, so I get that, but anyways, I don't really know how to wrap it up. It's a bonus, so I'm just going to throw it in and put some outro music. But yeah, I realized recording this, as fun as it was, probably not normal Dead Rabbit Radio material, right? Yes, Jason is a supervillain boasting about his crimes and then promising to commit even worse bioterrorism in the future. That's nothing like Dead Rabbit Radio. Well, anyways, this will be hopefully a fun bonus episode, and I'll play it during the break. So that was Jason Carpenter, Human Hunter, Part 2, The Revenge. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't tell these stories because I'm trying to make myself sound badass or anything like that. That's the last thing I think that I am. I'm not a badass. I just think it's an entertaining story. I think it's pretty funny. I think it's pretty funny, honestly. I mean, it's probably not the best attitude to have about it, but what other attitude are you going to have about it? I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting story. But anyway, so that might actually be my last human hunter story. I mean, I followed people around more in my life, but I can't think of any that was super exciting or that I could tell on the podcast. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this bonus episode, Jason Carpenter, Human Hunter, The Revenge.